one of their Indian workers over for 3 years, they will be taxed at a lower rate. So that does undercut British
They will
workers.
pay. It's a specific situation, as you say, where if you have an Indian company moving someone to the UK for a temporary period, or a UK company moving someone from the UK to India for a temporary period, the UK worker pays into our system now, not the Indian system, and the Indian worker pays into their system, not our system. So at the minute, they would pay twice. We have agreements in place with 50 countries for exactly the same thing. The last Conservative government did one for longer times. So no one is being undercut. It's very important. You don't pay into both systems. You don't get any benefits from paying into the UK. Indian workers in the Indian system, British workers in the British system.
But India's got over 1 billion people, so I think one workforce is more threatened than the other. Forget what other deals are in place with other countries. How is it not the case that we are undercutting British workers if an Indian worker, whether it's for 3 years or not, is taxed at a lower rate than the British worker?
Because the business would still be paying into the Indian social security system, and actually the cost to bring that worker would be higher. You'd still pay, for instance, the NHS.
But that doesn't matter. Snapshot where we are today. Tata Motors or Tata Steel, big Indian company here. If they wanted to hire a new worker today, they would have to hire a British worker or an Indian or a French or a German worker and pay the same tax rate. As of when the deal is signed, they can bring an Indian worker over and pay a lower tax rate.
Well, they would pay into the Indian system, so they're not paying twice.
But they do already. But
that's the same for the USA, for Canada, for Japan, for the EU.
That doesn't matter. But I get that. Deal side. Yeah. What you're acknowledging is this is a different tax rate.
No, I don't. No one is being undercut by this agreement. It means you don't pay twice, but you don't get any benefits from paying into the UK. And the costs of bringing that worker from India, same as bringing the UK worker to India, would be higher because you've got additional costs of doing that. Where I do think we will see a movement of people, I think we'll have more UK workers in India because of the access to the Indian market that we've opened up. So they won't pay twice. They will pay into our system, as Indian workers will pay into their system, and the business costs as well will reflect that. But it is wrong to say India's being offered something different to what we have with the USA or the EU or Canada or Japan or Israel or a whole range of countries. This is not...
That's fine.
This is not a tangible issue. This is the Conservative Party and Reform unable to accept that this Labour government has done what they couldn't do and get this deal across the line inventing a false reason why they couldn't get it across the line.
This has got nothing to do with the Conservatives or Reform. This is Wilfred Frost at Sky News asking you a fact-based question. You said it is wrong to say it's different from what we have with other countries.
Yeah.
It is right to say it is different from what we currently have with India. And the reality, after this trade deal, as things stand, if you hire an Indian worker, they will be taxed at a lower rate than a British worker.
No, not if you hire an Indian worker. If you temporarily move somebody over for a short period of time from India to the UK...
They will be taxed at a lower rate than a British worker.
No, they will pay the Indian tax rate and our workers will pay the British tax rate.
But which is higher?
Well, what it means is you're not paying twice. We're not getting any benefits from paying into the UK. So the reason you have this is you have... And by the way, any foreign worker coming to the UK is already exempt for 1 year. These additional agreements with other countries just top that up to some degree. So to present this as something undercutting British workers or unique to India is absolutely false. This is just what we have in place with a whole range of key trading partners.
I'm not saying
and it's about the benefits we get. And the net benefits to the UK. There's more money coming to the taxpayer as a result of this deal.
I'm not saying it's unique to India. I'm saying it's different to what exists currently with India. And you might well argue that overall the trade deal is worth it because whiskey exporters are going to sell a lot more whiskey into India. That's fine. But specifically as it relates to workers in Britain, there is a cost to pay, and this is one of them.
No, I don't accept anyone as being undercut by this. I don't accept what we have with all these 50 other countries undercuts British workers. It means that foreign workers pay into their system and UK workers abroad pay into our system. They're not taxed twice. I think that's fair. But it doesn't mean that anyone is being undercut. And to present that as a reason to not do a deal of this kind, when it's worth £5 billion every year to the British economy, when it means more exports, more jobs, more tax revenue. I mean, the gain to the exchequer, it's not a cost, it's a gain in terms of the money coming in from this economic activity. So this is a great deal for the UK.
So on that, just specifically, if it has been costed fully by the exchequer, you must know the cost to the exchequer of the NIC part of this deal.
Yeah, so it's a fraction of the additional tax revenue that we will get in as a result of doing this.
But it is a tax cost.
Well,
Can we have that number? Because I haven't seen it yet.
It's not a cost. The exchequer, there's more tax revenue coming to the country as a result of this deal. So it's worth over £1 billion in additional tax revenue to the UK, and the cost of this change to what we call a double contributions convention, less than a tenth of that.
But it's factored into that 1 billion figure.
No, of course, because the tariffs we're saving on exports to India over time, over 10 years, nearly £900 million. The tariffs India is saving are a lot less than that because our tariffs are relatively lower to begin with. So you're always